Welcome back students. I hope you are enjoying my videos, and in this video we are going to study about the methods which are used for extraction of metals from concentrated ore. In the first step, what we do, we mine the ores from earth crust, and in the next step we just concentrated those ores by removal of impurities, dusty impurities, gangues or rocky impurities. And then in the next step we will do some chemical and physical processes to remove the metal from those ores, which is known as extraction of metal from ore. And different metals require different technique for extraction. Those which are less reactive can be extracted using reduction method, that means just heating them with coke and we'll get the metal. Those which are highly reactive and they cannot be reduced by some reducing agent easily, we use electrolytic refining. So let's study this in more detail. Now, metallurgical extraction method. First of all, we have studied about the concentration of ore, that means removal of gangue or sandy impurity from the ore. Once we have removed the impurity from the ore, next step is we have to extract the metal from ore, and we are going to discuss about this method. And basically we applied three different techniques for extraction of methods, and they can be, that means they can be divided into three groups. First is pyrometallurgy, that means application of heat for extraction of metal is called pyrometallurgy. Next is hydrometallurgy, is application of water or solvent for the extraction of metal. And next is electrolytic reduction, that means application of electricity for extraction of metal. So we have studied about hydrometallurgy we have just idea about hydrometallurgy as we studied about leaching. Okay, now we are going to basically focus on pyrometallurgy and electrolytic refining. Pyrometallurgy refers to application of heat. Pyro means temperature, application of heat for extraction of metals. So let's start with pyrometallurgy. Pyrometallurgy, it involves the use of elevated temperature or heat and change in chemical composition of the entire body of ore. And the basic process of pyrometallurgy are three: calcination, roasting and smelting. Usually the sulfide ores are converted to oxide before reduction. Oxides are easier to reduce, thus isolation of metal from concentrated ore involves major two processes. We have discussed that we have actually three type of ores: oxide ores, sulfide ores and carbonate ores. And actually it has been observed that it is more beneficial, economical and easy to extract the metal from oxide ores as compared to sulfide and carbonate ores. So what we do in order to make the process cost effective and easy, first of all, if we have sulfide and carbonate ores, we do something to convert sulfide ore into oxide ore and carbonate ore into oxide ore. Once we have converted sulfide and carbonate ores into oxide ore, we can easily extract metal from here. So there are two extra steps. If we have sulfide ore, we have to convert it into oxide ore. If we have carbonate ore, again we have to convert it into oxide ore. And if we have oxide ore, there is no need to conversion, we can simply reduce it for extraction of metal. So isolation of metals from concentrated ores involves two major steps. First is conversion to oxide and second is reduction of oxide into metal. And the first method is calcination. Now calcination is the method of conversion of carbonate ores into oxide ore. We have discussed that if we have sulfide ore, we have to convert it into oxide. If we have carbonate ore, again we have to convert it into oxide ore. So the method of conversion of carbonate ores into oxide ore is known as calcination, and this is done by heating the ore either in absence or in limited supply of air at temperature below the melting point of metal. This process causes volatile matter to escape, thereby leaving behind metal oxide. Just like this, we had limestone, which is converted into calcium on heating, it is converted into, this is CaCO3. This is not CO3, this is CaCO3, which is actually which is limestone and a carbonate ore of calcium carbonate. This is heated and we get calcium oxide and carbon dioxide is escaped. So carbon dioxide is escaped and we are left behind calcium oxide. So we have converted a carbonate ore into oxide ore. Similarly, bauxite is an hydroxide ore, so this can also be converted into simple ore, oxide ore, by heating. And same is here, magnesium carbonate, copper carbonate, calcium carbonate. So there are two basically advantages. So first of all, once again, what is calcination? Calcination is the method of converting carbonate ore into oxide ore by heating it in absence or limited supply of air, because of which what happens, carbonate gets converted into oxide, and if we have some water or any volatile impurity, it also gets escaped from the system, so we get pure oxide ore. Okay, next we have roasting. We have to convert sulfide ore also into oxide ore. So process of conversion of carbonate ore into oxide ore is calcination, and the process of conversion of sulfide ore into oxide ore is roasting. And this, it involves, okay, conversion of sulfide ore into oxide ore by heating the ores in the regular supply of air at a temperature below the melting point of the metal. So what is difference between calcination and roasting? In calcination, carbonate is converted into oxide. In roasting, sulfide is converted into oxide. In carbonate, the ore is heated in absence of air. In roasting, the ore is heated in presence of air. And this is how you can see, this is a sulfide ore. When heated with oxygen, it gets converted into oxide. Similar here you can see all the examples that sulfides are heated with oxygen in the presence of oxygen and they are getting converted into oxide ores. And next, another thing is chlorinating roasting. This is a special type of roasting, and this is done by it is done in case of silver ores. So if we have silver sulfide, it cannot be easily converted into oxide by just heating. So what we do, we react it with sodium chloride and we heat it with sodium chloride. So what happens, that rather than getting silver oxide, we get silver chloride, which is again easily can be reduced. So this is a special type of roasting which is known as chlorinating roasting. It is done in case of silver ore, that silver sulfide is converted into silver chloride by heating it with sodium chloride. Okay, now next method is, once we have converted sulfide and carbonate ore into oxide, the next step is actually the reduction of oxide ore into metal. The roasted or calcinated ore containing metal oxide is mixed with reducing agent and heated to high temperature. A less electropositive metal ore like lead, iron, zinc, etc. are treated with powerful reducing agent like carbon, hydrogen and carbon monoxide, etc. to get the metal. And the most famous one is carbon reduction process, which is smelting. So we discussed about three parts. First was calcination, then roasting, and then smelting. Calcination, smelting and roasting we have studied. Now third one is smelting. Smelting is the process of obtaining metal from oxide ore by heating it with carbon. Carbon is actually cheapest and it is highly available reducing agent, and it is usually present in the form of coke, and it is employed in extraction of lead, zinc, iron and tin, etc. The oxides of metal are mixed with coke and they are heated in suitable furnace. Carbon or carbon monoxide reduces to oxide to the free metal. So we can see here, let's say I have Fe2O3. If I heat it with coke, we get iron plus carbon dioxide, and for balancing it, it would be 4, then it is 6, so we can write it 3 and 3. So this is how coke is, or carbon is used for reducing oxide into metal. Simply a carbon combines with oxygen to form carbon dioxide, which escape, and we are left only with metal. So this method is known as smelting, in which oxide is reduced into metal using carbon or coke. Okay, the roasted or next is, we have discussed, they are the examples of smelting. Zinc oxide heated with carbon to get zinc. Similarly, this can also be heated with carbon monoxide to get zinc. Similarly, lead oxide is heated with carbon to get again lead, or it can also be heated with carbon monoxide to get lead. So similarly, there is another example of iron. We have just discussed this one, and this is another one, and some more. Now there is another method which is known as self-reduction process, and in this what happens, that the cations of less electropositive metals like lead, mercury, copper may be reduced without use of any reducing agent. So in the previous one we just heated the oxide with either carbon or carbon monoxide or any other reducing agent, but it is observed that in case of some oxide we need not to use the reducing agent like carbon or carbon monoxide, just simply heating also works. So elevated temperature and anion or anions associated with the metal may bring about this change. You can see here, this is mercury sulfide heated with oxygen. Simply heating we get oxide. This is, we know what is it is called roasting. In next method we are just simply heating it. In the next step, this what is formed is reacting with sulfide, the reactant again, to form mercury. So it is actually a self-reducing method. We are simply heating the sulfide ore in the presence of oxygen, which is resulting in the formation of oxide, and this oxide is again reacting with another molecule of sulfide to form metal. Similar is the case in the case of copper also, and lead also. So this method is known as self-reduction method, in which we need not to add any external reducing agent, just simply heating the ore in air may also work. Okay, now there is something known as flux. Actually, metal ores contain some acidic or alkaline impurities. Even though we have done the calcination, we have done the concentration of ore, still again one thing, concentration of ore was only to remove the physical rocky impurities. If any impurity is there which is in combined form, which has formed bonds with the metal, then that cannot be removed by calcination. That cannot be removed by concentration. Concentration method was only for removing physical rock, clay type impurity. If any impurity is present in the form of chemical bonds with the chemical combination, that cannot be reduced using that method. So if metal ore contains some acidic or alkaline impurities which are attached with the metal, which can form fusible products by combining with some substances, it is known as flux. These substances are added during smelting are called flux. The fusible product is called slag. Actually, what is, if there is some impurity which is present in the combined form along with the metal ore, it would be either acidic or it would be either basic. So we add some special type of substances which fuse with those impurity, and they bring them out in the form of slag, and whatever was added is known as flux. For acidic impurity we use basic flux, and for basic impurity we use acidic flux. An example is here, calcium oxide is basic flux which is added if the ore contains silicon oxide, which is acidic in that case. These two will combine to form calcium silicate slag, which is fusible. Slag is generally a silicate or phosphate and melt before the melting point of metal. So once again, if anything is present, any impurity is present along with the ore, which is either acidic or alkaline, and it can be removed by reacting with some another substance. That substance combines with that impurity to form a fusible slag. In that case, whatever substance was added to remove the impurity is known as flux. Okay, now we move to electrolytic reduction process. We have studied that there are two main methods for extraction of metal. First is reduction method, in which a substance is the metal ore is reduced with some suitable reducing agent. But there is another method, electrolytic reduction method. If the metal is highly reactive and that cannot be reduced using some simple reducing agent like carbon and carbon dioxide and hydrogen, in that case we need to use electricity, and the method is known as electrolytic reduction method. In the case of highly electropositive metal, that means highly reactive metal, isolation of chemical agents is extremely difficult. In such cases, metal is obtained by electrolysis of fused salt. Under such condition, the ions radially move to the oppositely charged electrodes and discharge over there. Some other salts like flux may have to be added to lower the melting point of the compound taken. We know that we have the metal ore in the electrolytic cell. We will pass electricity, because of which that metal ore will melt and the ions will move. But we need to melt, before this we need to melt the ore, and some of the ores may have very high melting point. It may have very difficult to melt them. That is why sometimes some flux or some external substances are added into along with the ore in order to reduce its melting point. Just like, okay, now electrolysis may be done in two ways. The first is in any other solvent. We just add the ore along with some other solvent. The electrolysis can be carried out in other solvents which are other than water. For example, fluorine reacts violently with water, so it is produced by electrolysis of KHF2 dissolved in anhydrous HF. In general, electrolysis is done by we add something into water and then we pass electricity. But there may be something that the product formed may react with water, so it is not useful. In that case, we need to take any other solvent than water. Just like in this case, fluorine is formed by electrolysis of KHF2, but fluorine what is formed is highly reactive with water. It reacts violently with water, so we cannot take water, we take hydrogen fluoride for this purpose. Or apart from any solvent, we can use the fused metal itself. Like elements that react with water are often extracted from fused metals of their ionic salts, as I have just discussed before before this slide, that in electrolytic cell, what we do, we add the metal ore and then we pass electricity so that the metal melts, and for reducing the melting point we add some external salts which are called flux. The melting point decreases, so we need not to use any other solvent, we just melt the ore itself to make liquid. Okay, so that is this type of electrolytic in fused metals or fused melts. Elements that react with water are often extracted from fused melts of their ionic salts. Aluminium is obtained by electrolysis of fused mixture of bauxite and cryolite. Bauxite is ore which is melted, and from there aluminium is extracted, and cryolite is added into the bauxite in order to reduce its melting point. Okay, now standard electrode potentials of metal provide some idea regarding the selection of appropriate method for extraction of the metal from its compound. We know that we can use two different methods. First is simple reduction method and second is electrolytic reduction method. So which one is to be used depend on the reactivity of metal. Highly reactive metals are extracted by electrolytic reduction. Low reactive metals are extracted using simple reduction methods. So how we know that which metal is more reactive, which is less reactive, is done by its electrode potential. So if the metals have electrode potential more negative than minus 1.5 volt, that means they are highly reactive and they are very difficult to be reduced, and that's why electricity is used for isolation of such metals. But if the electrode potential is greater than plus 0.5 volt, that means they can easily be reduced using carbon or any other reducing agent. The metal higher up in the electrochemical series should be more difficult to reduce in the metallic form. Another way, just look at the electrochemical series in which metals are arranged in reducing or increasing, decreasing and increasing order of their reduction potential. So those which are present at higher at top of the table, that means they have more negative value of electrode potential, that means they are highly reactive and they cannot be reduced by carbon or any other reducing agent. So we need to use electricity for them, and as we move down it becomes more and more easy to reduce them. Another thing is free Gibbs energy change occurring during the reduction process are more important, and hence they help in deciding the suitable method, that is delta G, which is Gibbs free energy. In order to, okay, what is delta G? Delta G change in Gibbs free energy tells that whether a particular reaction is possible or not, it is spontaneous or not. So if delta G is negative for any chemical change, that means that change is possible, that is spontaneous, otherwise that is not spontaneous. So in order that the reduction of oxide, halide or any sulfide ore by an element may take place simultaneously at a given temperature and pressure, it is required that there must be decrease in Gibbs free energy of the system. That means so that reaction delta G must be negative. That means if I have let's say iron Fe2O3 and I am reacting with it with carbon to get Fe plus CO3, it is a rough equation, and if I want to use coke for reduction of iron oxide, I will see this reaction, and if what I find that delta G for this change is negative, then only this reaction is possible, otherwise this reaction is not possible. I cannot use carbon for this process, and I have to use the electrolytic method. Okay, now the more negative value of delta G, the higher is the reducing power of an element. Okay, now Gibbs free energy is related to the heat change as well as product of the temperature and entropy given by an expression. This is the way we can calculate delta G. I have just told you that if delta G is negative. Now how would I know that if delta G is negative for any reaction or positive? So I will know this using this reaction. I can experimentally find out that what is the enthalpy of reaction, and I can also find out delta S. Now delta S is a change in entropy, which is change in degree of randomness. If degree of randomness is increasing, that means delta S is negative, and if delta S is negative, delta G would be positive. So when all the reducing substance have unit activity, delta G is standard. For the reactions such as formation of an oxide like this, delta G becomes smaller with increase in temperature. Why? It was solid, this is gas, and this is solid. So with the passage of time, we know that a gaseous product is converting into solid. That means degree of randomness is decreasing. That means delta S is negative. And if I increase the temperature, delta S is negative, obviously delta S is always negative for this reaction, and as I increase the temperature, the product of T delta S becomes more and more negative, because of which the value of delta G becomes smaller with increase in temperature. This is because again the gaseous reactant oxygen is consumed in the reaction, leading to decrease in degree of randomness or entropy, as I have just discussed, of the system. Consequently, delta S becomes more and more negative. With further increase in temperature, T delta S acquires more negative value, and delta G will become increasingly less negative with increasing temperature. Okay, again let me explain this to you in simple language. For a spontaneous process, delta G should be negative. More negative value of delta G, more spontaneous is the reaction, or more possible for the reduction, more possibility for the reduction. Now what is happening for this type of reaction in which metal is reacting with oxygen to form metal oxide? Degree of randomness is decreasing as a gas is There is a solid, there is a gas, but in product we have only solid. Gas is missing, so degree of randomness is decreasing. That means delta S is negative. And if delta S is negative, that means this will become positive and delta G would be positive. And if the temperature is increased, delta G will become more and more positive. Okay? So we get a slope like this. This is delta G. Okay? Here it is 0. And below this it is negative. So if temperature is being increased, as I am increasing temperature, the value of delta G is becoming less and less negative. It is becoming positive. It is going toward upside towards 0 and then positive. So you can see for most of the reactions, most of the conversions, the plot is going upward with increasing temperature. As I am increasing the temperature, delta G is becoming positive and more positive, because this is equal to, yes, delta H minus T delta S. This is already negative, so negative sign becomes positive, and if I increase the temperature, it becomes more and more positive and the plot goes upward. So this plot of Gibbs energy versus T for the formation of some oxide is known as Ellingham diagram. And what is the use of this element is that, what is the use of this diagram is that an element can reduce the oxide of another element if the standard free energy of formation of an oxide of the former is more negative than the later. That means those oxides, those plots, those metals whose plot is at the bottom can reduce those metals which are present at the top. So if there are two, there is aluminium and there is magnesium, and I know that up to this temperature the plot of magnesium is below the plot of aluminium. So at any temperature below this point, magnesium can reduce aluminium oxide. But after this temperature, now aluminium, the plot for aluminium is below the plot of magnesium. So now aluminium can reduce magnesium below this temperature. So at any given temperature, the plot, the metal whose plot is below can reduce the oxide of metal whose plot is above. So at this point, magnesium can reduce aluminium, can reduce oxygen, can reduce carbon, can reduce iron, can reduce anyone. Similarly, up to this point, magnesium can reduce aluminium, but after this point, now aluminium will reduce magnesium. So the one which is below can reduce the one which is above. Now there is a solved problem which says that a substance which reacts with gangue or any impurity to form fusible material is called, yes, flux. If there is any acidic or basic impurity, flux react with that to form a fusible material which is slag. So E is the correct option. Now this reaction, what does this increase? We have magnesium oxide, metal oxide, which is converted into again oxide and carbonate. Okay, so what is this this indicating? Calcination, roasting, smelting, or self-reduction. Okay, what is calcination? Calcination is the process of converting carbonate into, yes, oxide. This is not carbonate. Okay, next is conversion of, roasting is conversion of sulfide into oxide. Again, this is not sulfide. So what is this? This is actually self-reduction. We are just heating it. And we are getting metal oxide. So this type of reaction in which so C is the correct option here. Students, in case you have any doubt in this topic, you can post that question in our discussion board. For that, all you need to do is to go to the home page of Ask IITians. There you will find an option of discussion board. You have to click there. Then in the right side, you will find a portion of Ask Experts. In that, just select the category in which you want to post your question. Let's say it's physical chemistry. Then post your question here, and then if you want to attach any image, use this option to attach the image, and finally post it by clicking on Get Answer, and you will be answered within 24 to 48 asked by our experts. So in this video we basically studied about different methods or processes which are used for extraction of metal from their ore, and we basically focused on two different methods. First is application of heat, that means heating the ore with some reducing agent like coke, and in second one we studied about application of electricity, that means electrolytic reduction for extraction of metal. In next video we are going to discuss about the methods which are used for purification or refining of these metals. So stay tuned.